information here. If I can get the slideshow to go, there it is. So we've got a great topic today. Most of you know that every year we do a survey, about once every 12 to 14 months. We do a survey for membership and just people in the community here in the event world in San Diego and kind of in our region mostly. But every year, one of the biggest feedback pieces of information we get is sales, and it's various things about sales, different tactics, different strategies. This couldn't be a better timed topic of mastering the virtual sale. So we're very excited to have Dr. Kerry Johnson. So I'm not going to steal too much of his thunder, but you can see some of the bullet points there. We're going to get in there, talk about some of the differences, how to boost business in a time like this, and how to create some longevity for that. So you can see that sustained advantage. Moving on to our upcoming events, we've got some great things on the calendar. Next month, I say next month, but it's really only like 16 days away. February 4th, Pour the Love Social Hour. So really it's a networking event. You know, one of the biggest things that we get great feedback from is Tina Marie Honor, our VP of Finance, and her team that puts together our networking events have been working really hard to come up with a great concept. This one involves alcohol, so I know that right away will boost attendance. That almost always means good things for our attendees. But they've got some great things planned. This one involves Stone Brewery, so make sure, I think that email is going out today while this meeting is taking place. So check your emails when we're done here. You should see the invitation from that, and you can respond to that. There is a piece, if you want to participate, I think it's 3 beers for $10 from Stone Breweries, which is a great deal. You know, you can't get that if you just walk in the restaurant door down there. So, so make sure that you log in with us on February 4th. For those of you that are thinking about getting your CMP certification, February 16th, we're having a free information session. That's just a time where you get to like ask questions. They'll tell you what the format is, how we go through, you know, teaching you the bullet points, helping you focus on the test taking aspects of it, and really get that information in front of you, let you think about it. And then from there, you can decide to take the class or not. So I'd like to invite you all to, if you're thinking about getting your CMP, I know we've had several people that are here on the call get your CMP here recently in recent classes. So that class goes on twice a year, and that's coming up. There is a spring class forming here in just a few weeks. And then after that, March 16th, it's leading into spring, our next professional development session. So stay tuned, save the date, March 16th. We'll have more information on that out on the street soon. So a lot of you know about the World Education Conference. It's MPI Global's. It's where we bring everybody together. We talk about technology, we talk about trends, we talk about different things, ways to solve problems, all this great stuff. And this year, it was a very unique year. There was both in person and virtual. So I know we had a few people that attended virtually, but I'd like to turn it over to Tina Marie Honor, our VP of Finance. She attended in person. So Tina Marie, tell us more about that.
Thank you, I would love to. So as Spencer mentioned, I'm Tina Marie. I am your VP of Finance and very proud of it. I did attend the World Education Congress, which occurred in November, and it occurred in Grapevine, Texas. So going to this event really sparked some great imagination and creativity for the safety precautions that need to occur as we're stepping or moving through this COVID time. Although everyone was, safely distanced, we wore masks and everything, there were still opportunities to network. And the main one was that we have this cool networking app. You could go and see who's attending. You can connect with them right then and there. And you could even schedule meetings and or I connected with someone from Live Nation, which is the company I work for. So they really came out of the box or thought outside of the box in presenting the World Education Congress to us in a smart manner and safe as well. Aside from the networking and having our safe receptions with our masks, with outdoor concerts, we're still able to dance and enjoy the entire experience that Grapevine had to offer for us. There were also hand sanitizing stations. We had daily check-ins and, to sign off on our health and to make sure that everyone is safe in that manner as well. And the food and beverage was so good. So again, you had to pivot a little bit and think about how are we going to individually package everything that they were wanting to offer to us. But it was so delicious. It was so smart. And the offerings were just out of this world. And then last but not least, of course, the content. As Spencer mentioned, a few of us attended in person, and then there were some of us who were home enjoying the program as well. But the hybrid concept they brought to it was very interactive. So as I was sitting in a ballroom, I would see the home audience as the chat feature was popping up. There were some home audience members who would pop onto the big screens within the ballroom, and they were able to interact with the host and things like that. And it was just so smart. And so speaking on WEC Grapevine, we are now stepping into WEC Las Vegas. So right down the street, no excuses for my San Diego friends. So WEC Las Vegas is taking place in June. It will be hosted by Caesars Entertainment, which I'm so thrilled about because they have a great property out there. And so we're going to drop some links in the chat box so that you have a little bit of information. Aside from the attending, I also was a recipient of a scholarship. And so there's a special discount going on right now, but if you find that you can't really, fork over that amount for registration and travel and things, you can also go in for a scholarship. And that application was so easy. One of my fellow board members actually told me about it when I knew that Live Nation wasn't going to be able to pay for me to attend the WEC in November. And I just went through, they asked, what's the purpose of you going? What's the give back to the community? And why do you feel you can't go and support this endeavor financially on your own? And so from there, you get an email and they're like, congratulations, join us here. And so we'll have that opportunity again for Vegas. They haven't rolled that out yet. When they do, be on lookout for an email from us, and you'll have that opportunity there. And so with all that said, we have this great video that MPI put together that we're going to show you right now. So check it out. Keep a lookout because there's going to be some special appearances by some of your MPI San Diego members, me, and others. And enjoy. Any questions about WEC, feel free to reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the chat as well. I'm always happy to share. Thank you.
All right. Oh, wait, stop. There we go. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce the VP of Professional Development, and she's going to introduce our speaker, Ms. Rachel Cohn.
Hi, everyone. So I have the pleasure, let's see. Okay. Hi, everyone. I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker today. So our speaker, Kerry Johnson, is a former professional tennis player and toured worldwide in the late 70s on the international tennis circuit. He left the tour because of illness and fatigue. He says the fans were sick and tired of him. Kerry writes monthly for over 15 sales and management magazines in the areas of reading customers' thoughts, developing trust, and increasing business. He's the author of 16 books, including Mastering the Game, Peak Performance, How to Increase Your Business by 80% in 8 Weeks, New Mindset, New Results, and his newest book, Mastering the Virtual Sale. His editors have dubbed him America's business psychologist. He gained experience and discovered rejection as a smiling and dialing stockbroker. He has lectured at Harvard, Purdue, and Cambridge universities. He has an MBA, a PhD, and also says he has an EIEIO. Here is our speaker, Dr. Kerry Johnson.
Thanks, Rachel. Hey, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Rachel, I forgot to mention to you that I spoke at San Diego MPI about 3 or 4 years ago. Do you remember that?
Oh,
it just hit me that I spoke. I would think it was in oh my gosh, where was that? Loma Santa Fe. There was a Aviara hotel there or something like that. It was so much fun, and the people here are so impressive. Gang, you heard from Rachel say a couple seconds ago that I'm the author of 16 books. I'm going to give away. I don't know, Rachel. What do you think we should give a copy of this to? 5, 10 people, I don't know, called the Referral Mindset, business building techniques of top producers. And I'm really happy about this next book. I just got commissioned to write this about 2 months ago because of all the stuff that you're all encountering called Mastering the Virtual Sale. And I'm going to show you how you're going to be able to I'm going to give this thing away to you too. But I do want you to know that I'm a UC San Diego graduate, and I played on the tennis tour, as Rachel said, in 1976 to 1978. I was actually, a little bragging here, I was actually ranked 95 in the world until they fixed the ATP computer ranking system where I slipped to 10,033. So that's my claim to fame. But today we're going to work on some really fun stuff. And Tina Marie just said to me, can you tell us when we get some contracts signed? Please let this happen, please. Well, Tina, I hate to tell you this, but it's here to stay. The virtual sale is here to stay. Our chances of being able to get in front of people face-to-face is going to be dramatically diminished. And let me tell you why. Herd immunity, which is basically when people can get back together, is 70%. By my calculations, I think there are at least 10 to 50% of the people who are never going to get vaccinated, and probably another maybe 5 to 10% of the people who maybe just don't have access. It's going to be a heck of a long time. I'm married to this gorgeous, beautiful flight attendant named Kerry Johnson. I should have a picture here. American Airlines sends us executive platinum flyers, which is me, by the way, $200,000 a year during 2019. A lot diminished this year. And they said that their business is down 65% in 2020. 2021, they say their business is going to be down by 50 to 62%. And it's not going to be even close to 35% down until 2023. This is here to stay. But I think we're looking at something different, though. I think we're looking for systemic change within how we do business. I think even though we're able to see people face to face, we're going to still do remote virtual platforms, and we're going to be able to see people face to face only during the end of the sales cycle, maybe to sign contracts to get things going. The bottom line is it's going to be here to stay. And I think that's really interesting. We say that because this model, this platform is really hard. Have you noticed pretty like the most obvious thing I'm going to say today? It's hard to engage. We can't, obviously have a very much rapport level. Rapport is dramatically dropped off. And I know you know this, but 82% of communication is nonverbal. So if you look at body language, my hands are here, that's basically 62%. And the verbal part that we don't really get that much on the virtual is basically 20%. So 82% of our communication is lost. And the problem is also that this virtual format we're in is really abbreviated. When I spoke to the MPI meeting 5 or 6 years ago, the topic was called How to Read Your Client's Mind. I had an hour and a half to speak. Today, I'm going to really fight to make sure that everybody's focused and interested within 45 minutes. I mean, it's a very abbreviated platform, so you have to get your stuff done in a lot more focused way. And number 4 is virtual is really distracting. I love the gallery view we have here, but a lot of the virtual seminars and webinars that I do, you can actually see people look at their telephone, they're texting. I can see people look over here at the monitors, they're emailing and things. We don't get that when we're doing a face-to-face. Obviously, we have that on a virtual platform, and it's really, really tough. And the other thing is, too, I love this part, and I'll be talking about framing in a couple of seconds. But when you're talking to somebody, you're looking at their whole house. I could see Rachel's wine closet on the right. I think it's the wine closet over there. I'm envious of you. And I could see this New Zealand little design to your right side. I mean, it's really kind of fun, but it's still distracting because I'm looking at all this stuff happening, and our clients are doing pretty much the same thing. So we're going to talk about 3 things. Number 1, I'm going to show you some very prescient techniques on how you can increase your business by 38% in 30 days. I'm going to show you also how to get referrals virtually. And I'm going to tell you right now, the referrals are the best way of getting business that you've ever seen. And I love the virtual platform because it's going to force you to get more referrals. And number 3, we're going to talk about how to avoid really serious virtual sales mistakes. And even a sharp college boy like me, who was senior class president 2 years in a row, knows that, hey, gang, you ought to be taking some notes here. But first, let's start with something what I think is one of the most important things. I got to smile at it, Tina Marie. So, some of this is nonverbal, right, Tina Marie? First, let's talk about what's not all that focused on virtual, but really it's still the way we should be building business, either by telephone or virtual. And that's how to develop a constant stream of business, Tina Marie, even during, ready for this, COVID. How to get contracts signed during COVID. Here's a couple of stats. If you don't know these things, write them down. University of Connecticut showed that 89% of your clients care more about their relationship with you than they do about the fees they pay. If you want to argue that, I love it. Just yell at me or something. I'll give you some research on that. Number 2, Forrester research, which I respect a lot, said that your clients buy because of 3 reasons. Number 1, they want to understand what they're buying functionally. They don't want the details. They want to know what it's going to do. Number 2, they want to know you're in control all the time. You're always doing what's best for them. In the financial services business, they call it fiduciary. What's best for them, not what's good for them. And here's the most important part. They want frequency of contact. They want to hear from you. They want to know that you're there. They want to know that you're going to be able to be there with them. They want to hear from you. I was doing a presentation, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago in Boston, and there was a compliance guy who was doing, Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? And he had about a panel about 4 or 5 of these attendees up there. And he said, he kept asking compliance questions. It was kind of fun. But then I got up there and I started speaking about how critical it is to keep in contact with people. And I said to this group, what amount of time is it between you talking to your clients and how often do you talk to your clients? And this guy stood up on the top of a chair, yelled at the top of his voice, every 18 months, and the average complaint occurs in the 19th month. And I thought that was so hilarious, but that's true. We just don't talk to clients. We don't talk to prospects. Well, we're going to change that right now. And the virtual sale is perfect for to be able to make that happen. Here's a model I want you to start using. It's called Catch Up, Update, Referral. I want you to catch up on your clients every 3 months. Forrester Research said that your clients want to be contacted every 3 months. They want to hear from you every 3 months. But here's the problem. If I say, this happens every time I talk to somebody, they say, well, what am I supposed to say every 3 months? How are you? How's the weather? Any questions? Okay, talk to you another 3 months? No. I want you to catch up on the family, catch up on what they've done, catch up on the last conversation. I made a 3-month phone call today. And my client, Mark Sorensen, owns a firm in Florida. He said, Kerry, I just had twin grandkids born. Yeah, I can't wait to see my granddaughters. Guess what's going to be in my CRM? So I make my phone call in 3 months from now. How are those 2 gorgeous granddaughters doing? Number 2 is update. This is where it really gets good. I want you to update them on anything new that's going to be relevant. Tina Marie, you could talk about when COVID is done. You could talk about vaccination rates. You could talk about new meeting ideas, new venue concepts. You could talk, I don't, whatever you think is appropriate, whether you want to get to hear, but we have to talk about relevant. Let me give you an example. So my financial planning clients will talk about what the market has done, what the market may do. My real estate clients will talk about current home evaluations and where homes are valued in the next, maybe 8% in the next year, 2%. My mortgage people talk about where rates are headed. They just want to have something relevant. And let me tell you, if you don't talk about something that's going to be relevant, they just won't answer the telephone. They just won't call you back. But I want them to value that phone call. And here's one of the best parts of the whole phone call. Get referrals. Let me tell you something. I know you know this. Oh, I love a little beat. Perfect time. Referrals are 35% more likely to do business with you. They're going to give you 25% more money. They're a lot of fun. There's never any rejection. And the really cool thing about referrals will make you tons of money, and they're just really enjoyable. I had a client say to me back, I started speaking, by the way, when I was a young kid, but a client named Charlie Schaefer, he booked me for about 5 regional programs. And he said, hey, Kerry, do you accept referrals? And I said, Charlie, why would I not accept that? Of course I accept referrals. He said, well, you never asked, so I never knew you wanted referrals. Oh my gosh, I want to shoot myself. There's 2 kinds of referrals. Number 1 is called an advocacy referral. Number 2 is called a proactive referral. A proactive referral is when you ask for a name. An advocacy referral is when people call you out of the blue. A proactive referral has a 38% chance of booking an appointment with you. An advocacy referral has, ready for this, an 85% chance of doing business with you. The only way that you're going to get advocacy referrals is by keeping in contact with these people every 3 months and using these 3 sentences. I'm actually going to give you the words. Number 1 is let them know how much you value the relationship. Number 2, let them know why they need to give you referral to help their friends. And number 3, be very direct when you ask. So sentence number 1, Rachel, I really enjoy being with you. I love working with you, Rachel. You're so much fun. Number 2, Rachel, by the way, I'm just doing placeholders here. Rachel, I'm not sure you know this, but most people who plan events pay 25% too much and really don't get the value from the event they could have. Who do you know who could benefit from some of the things we've done together? Let me do that one more time. It's that important. Rachel, I love working with you. Most people who do events pay 25% too much and don't get the value promised. Who do you know who could benefit from the kind of things we've done together? That's important. But so is this one. I want you to keep in contact with your prospects every 3 months. Prospects are really interesting people. They didn't say no to you because they wanted to get a cheaper deal. They said no to you because they probably wanted to think about it and they got distracted and then you stalled. I want you to do the same exact thing when you talk to your prospects. Catch up on the family, catch up on the last conversation, update them on new and relevant ideas. But here's the most important one. This is the difference between clients and prospects. I want you to reconnect them to their past needs and use the words just like this. Last time we talked, Rachel, you had 3 concerns that you were really working on that were very important to you. Number 1, you wanted to be able to stay within your budget of $300,000. Number 2, you want to have a location centrally. And number 3, you want to be able to feature a couple of outside speakers, but mostly some of the inside people for new product information. Is that still important to you? Yep. Now here's the key phrase. What have you done so far to find solutions to these concerns? Very important. What have you done so far to find solutions? They will have done nothing, I promise, because most people say no to you because they stall. They don't say no because they don't want to use you. They just got distracted, et cetera. But you ought to be asking me right now, well, Kerry, what's the point of all this, connected needs and things? Well, here it is. It's called bridging. Bridging is God's gift to sell without selling. close without closing. If you get nothing, you hear this all the time. If you get nothing from this presentation today, pick this up and use it every single day. Bridging is a way to sell without selling, because we need to, number one, make an introductory statement. A bridge is basically trying to find out what people's needs are and sell it to them. You know, I once heard a consultant deemed as someone who takes your watch and tells you what time it is. This is what we're doing. Introductory sentence. So tell me, what have you done so far with those concerns you had? Did you reach the solutions to that? Another way of bridging is when you do the catch up, you do the update, and then we're going to say to somebody, one of the things that I know you're working on is you do that annual event. Tell me a little bit more about that. We're just trying to get the conversation started. That's all we're trying to do. Number two, search for needs. Research from U.S. Trust and also American Banking Institute showed that if I could get one need from somebody, there's a 36% chance to do business with me. If I could get two needs, it goes up to 56%. And here's the royal, here's the one I like the best. If I could get three needs from somebody, there's a 92% chance I'm going to be able to do business with somebody. 92% if I can listen to three. Nobody says no when you get three needs. Okay, so let's kind of find out if I know what I'm talking about. We're going to do a little experiment here, and I'm going to read you off 10 two-digit numbers, and I'm going to have Rachel open up this and just pick some by random. We already rehearsed this. We got together at noon today. We've been doing it for the last 4 hours, and I'm going to get one of you to tell me how many numbers you can remember. But here's the rule: you can't write down any numbers. You got you can't repeat them. I just want you to listen to it, and at the very end. Some of you are muted, so we're not going to be able to do this effectively, but I want you to count out loud from 100 so you can't rehearse it. We're going to say out loud together, 100, 98, 99, 98, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so here are the numbers. And Rachel's going to, after you get these numbers down, where she's, I'm going to take some by random, and one of you is going to be the guinea pig. Okay, here it comes. 22, 67, 83, 52, no writing down, 74, 35, 26, 91, 43, 61. Okay, let's do this. Out loud from 100 with me, 100, 99, 97,
98.
Oh, I forgot 98. Okay, thanks for correcting me. 97, 96, 95. Okay.
95.
Somebody random, Rachel. You pick them.
Kristen,
the first.
go ahead, unmute.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, who is this, Kristen?
Yeah.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi. I remember it was 67 was one of the numbers. I think that was the second number. 27, 45, 26, I think was one of them. I think that's 91, I think was one of the numbers.
Is that your final answer?
Sure, yes.
You got 22, you got 91, and you got 26.
That's not too bad.
Pretty good, Kristen.
I'm pretty
Congratulations.
happy with that.
Yeah, I know that was really good. But how many numbers did you get, Kristen?
Pardon?
How many numbers did you remember correctly?
Me, I thought you just said I got 3 correctly.
Yeah, look at the top. Remember I said the focus screen means that people can remember plus or minus 3.
Oh,
Some
okay.
people really pay attention. It's not brains, by the way, it's attention. Some people get 5, some people get 1, but it's really about 3. So the bottom line is we got to get 3. We got to get 3 needs. 1 need gets us 36% chance of people remembering. 2 needs is 56. 3 needs is 92. Let's get 3 needs. Next, recap. I love to recap. You know, every good psychotherapist knows that if they can get people to recap what they said using exactly their words, everything works out well. Recapping is everything. It's called the psychotherapeutic model of doing business with people. I want you to recap using their words and say it like this. So if I heard you correctly, you said 1, 2, 3. Did I get that right? If I understood you, you said 1, 2, 3. Was that effective for you? Yeah, recap is great. I was a lot of years ago, I think it was probably back in the late 80s. There was a guy named, I use their words, Bob Turner. He was with a company called Cigna Insurance. And he said during a meeting, very short meeting, about a half an hour, he said, Kerry, if I have you speak to my group, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna say? Well, I wasn't stupid enough to fall for that. I tried to search for 3 needs. And he said, well, I really want you to go beyond the 9 dots. He had this really interesting chart, had dots of 3, 3, 3. And if you remember back in those days, you had to connect all the dots. Would that take your pen off the paper? Well, the way to solve the puzzle is you have to make an arrow with all the 9 dots. For this guy, it was a metaphor. Everything is 9 dots, this, 9 dots, that. He started going to acronyms. I want to do this and this and this and this and this and this. And then I want to do an EIEIO. Okay, Kerry, what do you got for us? I said, Bob, I'm going to tell you. I want to go beyond the 9 dots. He said, that's exactly what I want you to do. And he hired me for the speech. It's not what we say, it's what they hear. It's how we recap what they hear that's really critical. Next, trial close. Let's not sell anymore. Let's not push people anymore. Let's just see if they want to commit. Let's just see if they want to be able to go to the next level. Trial closing is always a wonderful way of recapping what they say and making sure we're on the same page. Trial close is this. So if I heard you correctly, you want a 1, 2, 3. If we could focus on 1, 2, 3, would that be the right way to go? So let me get this straight. If we could talk more about staying within $200,000, number 2, having a central location, and number 3, have 85% of the speakers be internal, would that be the best way to go for you? They're telling you how they want to buy from you. Why not do that virtually? You could do that on the telephone. You could do that any place you want to. You know, I told you before that I play pro tennis. This is what I look like playing at UC San Diego in 1975. I'm not proud of the shorts. Okay, it's a little bit dated. I got this drug dealer look over there. But my claim to fame was that in the first round, I drew this guy named Jimmy Connors. Dallas, Texas, Reunion Hall, 1977. Connors had one tennis court strategy with me. It was called Clean My Clock. He beat me 6-1, 6-0. And I'm exaggerating that by 1 game. Jimmy Connors was the only guy on the tour who could return Roscoe Tanner's 138-mile-per-hour serve and hit winners off the serve. Nobody could do that. And I walked up at Jimmy. I said, Jimmy, how do you return serve so well? I mean, what do you do? Do you step in? Do you sit back? Do you do you do a half swing on the return? Do you do a full swing? Give me a tip. What do you do? He said, Kerry, I just made $45,000 off of you in 22 minutes. He said, I guess you deserve an answer. He said, I listen to the way the ball sounds as it comes off the server's racket. I listen to what the ball is going to do, where it's going to go. I anticipate stroke, game, set. Connors, gifted tennis player. By the way, that really sets up this really important thing for when we're doing referrals. If you want to get elegant at this, let's start listening for referrals. Let's not ask anymore. Let's listen. Do you ever notice that people always name drop? Yeah, we got a regional director. He had some issues over here a couple of years ago, and you know, here our VP over here. He'd have this, and I play tennis with this guy. Why not just say to these people, who's it? What's that person's name? Oh, it's Rachel Cohn. She's wonderful. How well do you know Rachel? Oh, really well. She's great. Would you mind if I contacted Rachel? See, now you're getting elegant. That's when we really get referrals and we start building our business really effectively. Let me go back to one more thing too. The reason we trial close is a lot because some people don't want the answer. Some people just want to vent. They just want to do catharsis. They just want to, they just want to talk and they don't want to implement. I played tennis before COVID. I was playing doubles and this guy who owned a company walked up to me at the bar. We had a pitcher of beer and he said, hey, Kerry, you're like a business psychologist, right? And I said, well, yeah, it's that's what I do. He said, I got this hammerhead sales guy, comes in late, leaves early, annoys my staff. I don't know what to do with this guy, but I'm just tired of the stuff happening. And I recapped. I said, so let me get this straight. He annoys your staff, comes in late, leaves early, and you say he's not even hitting his sales goals. Is that true? Yeah. What do you think I should do? So if we could talk about what to do with this guy, would that be helpful for you? Looked at me, looked at his beer and said, nope, I got it. Beer. That was it. All he wanted to do was vent, catharsis. We got to make sure that people want to hear and solve problems. We can't just go to the solutions. And this is the model which gets you to do it, by the way. I do want to tell you, though, that I've always thought that, and you always probably thought that Jimmy Connors had the worst behavior, worst tantrums in pro tennis. I thought that too until I took my then 5-year-old daughter, Stacy, to an exhibition match between Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe. What a mistake that was, huh? This little 5-year-old saw John McEnroe throw a racket at the umpire during the middle of the match. She said, "Daddy, I want to become a professional tennis player." She said, "I'm tired of throwing temper tantrums for free." By the way, I'd love to give you a little commercial break here. I'd love to give you a free copy of Mastering the Virtual Sale. And all I want to do is just chat with you for 10 minutes. Just call that telephone number or send me an email. Let's just talk about your business. Not going to try to sell anything. And I'll give you a free book for just for the phone call. Okay, the virtual sale. Number one is it's really difficult, mainly because there's a lot less rapport in the virtual sale. I went to UC San Diego. We did some research in 1978 when I was a graduate student there. We discovered that trust is worth 17% of the gross price of a product or service. You know what that means? That means that you could charge 16% more and not lose a client. That also means that people will leave you for a 1% decrease without trust. And the reason I'm talking about this is because rapport gets trust. Trust gets business, and the virtual sale is much more difficult because of the platform it's on. Number two, the distractions on the virtual sale are a lot more difficult than they wherever when we're face to face. I'm looking at background. I'm wondering when I first started talking to Spencer, boy, that brick thing is really kind of fun. I'm wondering, did he get that from Zoom? Is it some other? Does he have a green screen, a white screen? And look at how gorgeous that background with Peggy is. I mean, she's got a white. I love white chairs. It is so much fun, and she's got her cat there. Oh, sorry, Peggy. Can you repeat what you said the last 15 minutes? I saw the cat, and I just got totally distracted. That's what we go through with the virtual sale. It's really difficult. Here's the way to answer that. Write this down, gang. It's called tie downs. I want you to do tie downs. Our attention span normally is about 5 to 6 minutes. That's it. That's all you got face to face. On the virtual sale, it's between maybe 90 seconds to 3 minutes. That's it. So use a tie down. I want you to start saying every 90 seconds, you agree? Makes sense? What's your thought? Is this the right way to go? I want you to get them interacting with you every 90 seconds to 3 minutes. I'm going to do a couple of more things with you, a participation like we did with Kristen a few minutes ago, but you've got to do tie downs. Otherwise, we lose people way too fast on the virtual sale. U.S. Trust, so I respect a lot. So one of my main focuses of research, they discovered that 84% of the population, your clients, bought from you because they felt understood. Only 6% bought because they were made to understand. Tie downs make people feel understood. And also tie downs are a wonderful technique to make sure that when you're communicating with people, you're never trying to go too far. You're not explaining too much. You're not selling too much. But let's get down to some of the nitty gritty here. The virtual sale. How do you present to people? When you're presenting to 3 people, to 5 people, to 500 people, how do you really present? What are you supposed to do? I spoke in Las Vegas right before COVID, and I was speaking to 500 or 600 people, and there was a speaker after me who was marvelous. I forgot his name now, but he was talking about how to speak in front of groups. And I thought, wow, I got to hear this one. I can always use a couple of tips on this. He said, number 1 biggest fear among Americans is dying. Number 2 biggest fear is speaking in front of a group. Number 3 biggest fear is dying while speaking in front of a group. So that's the biggest thing, is the anxiety level that gets in there. But let's go towards 3 things that great visual virtual speakers do, especially on a webinar, especially on a virtual call. Number 1, great speakers have great content. The topic is relevant, it's useful, and I'm a little bit biased here, but if I can't take away, everybody says, I can take away one thing, if I can't take away 5 things I'm going to implement today, I want more. I want to get more. And because it's so abbreviated, we have a chance of doing that. Number 2, let me tell you that there's a very important concept in the virtual sale called primacy recency. Primacy recency basically says what people hear in the very beginning and what they hear at the end are the best remembered. Hey, is Kristen still with us? Kristen? No.
Yeah,
Might
I'm
be
here.
too much. Hi, Kristen. Kristen, do you remember what numbers you remember best?
It was the first 3 or 4, I think, were the ones I remembered because I
Gang,
was
you're right.
visually trying to picture them.
You're right. Do you remember Kristen got the first couple? Primacy means the first. Recency means the last. Now, she was actually focused on the first couple of numbers, which you remember best. Nothing in the middle, gang. She remember almost, and it's not anything about her intelligence, but she focused more on the first thing and the last thing. Primacy, recency is important. Number 2, I want you to start using participation a lot more than you have been. I want you to engage people. I want you to try to engage people. And I just did it with Kristen a couple of seconds ago, and that was as much for me as it was for you to keep people focused. But virtual sales, a lot harder than face-to-face. When I'm working a room, I'm grabbing people's chairs, I'm tapping them on the shoulders, I'm pounding on their desks. I can't do that, so I have to get people to participate in a much different way. And with Zoom, Spencer's probably the expert here. I could do polling, can I, Spencer? I can get people to respond to questions, and I can actually read the questions while I'm doing that. We got to get people engaged on the virtual sale. And number 3 is you got to be entertaining. San Diego State University, who's here? Spencer, just take a guess. How many San Diego State grads are here?
On this call, probably 2 or 3.
At least, huh? Really? We got maybe less than 10%?
Yeah, I mean, well, typically we have way more than that at an event, but COVID, I think so many of them are not doing their normal patterns. So I think we probably don't have as many as we normally would.
Well, San Diego State University showed that if I can attach participation and entertainment vis-a-vis humor to any concept and increase the memory of that concept by 83%. 83%. That is huge. The more I get people to participate, the more humor I use, not just jokes, but humor, and the more stories I use, the better people are going to remember it, because facts tell, stories sell. Now, let me give you an example of this. Everybody knows, it's probably too obvious to talk about, don't quit, go the extra mile, never give up. Okay, I've heard that before. But it's not until you hear a story about that do you really understand the differences. This is Cassius Clay. And the very early part of his career, he was fighting a guy named Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston was slated to win. If you're not a boxing fan, no problem, but Sonny was 4 inches taller, had a 3-inch longer arm reach, and he was pulverizing Cassius Clay. They were fighting for the championship belt, and the bell rang in the 8th round. Cassius went back to his corner, and he was about to give up. His manager, Angelo Dundee, was a secret weapon. Angelo D said to him, got to get there one more round, Cassius. You're going to beat this guy. Go one more round. As soon as the bell rang, Cassius was actually taking off his gloves. And the reason Angelo Dundee was a secret weapon is he pulled the chair off of Cassius, made him stand up, gave him a knee in the back, which made him take 1 step forward. As soon as he did that, a towel came in from the Sonny Liston side. They gave up a fight. They capitulated. They surrendered. Cassius won. Later became Muhammad Ali. Now, I could have said, don't give up, but isn't it better when using a wonderful story that causes people to retain and remember what you talk about? Okay, let's grab one more person, Rachel. One more random, unsuspecting, innocent victim.
Oh gosh, Sydney Loxon.
Sydney, with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Sydney.
Hey.
What's going to happen to me? What's he going to do to me? We're going to play a card game, Sydney. And the card game is going to be so much fun for you and I that I'm going to actually bet you $5, Sydney, that I can make one of your cards disappear. Got a Venmo account, Sydney? Venmo?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll give you my address after we're done. But $5, and now the only rule here, one, is don't tell me what the card is, Sydney. Keep it to yourself. And you got to be honest. I know MPI people are always the most honest people in the world, so I know this is not going to affect you. But pick out a card. Don't say what it is. Do not say what it is. Let me know when you got it.
Okay.
Okay. Ready for this? For $5, I'm going to make your card disappear, Sydney. Am I good? Is that good? I'm so good at this stuff. Okay, Sydney, one more time. Is your card there, Sydney?
What the heck?
Oh my gosh,
No.
it worked. It never works. I can't believe it. Did it really work? Sydney, did it work? Is your
Yeah,
card
no,
there?
it's not there. It's not there.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy this worked. $5, Sydney. Do you know what I did?
You switched the suit.
Not only the suit, I switched all the cards. Now, one card from the last
Oh.
one is in here. I switched all the cards. Now, what a great metaphor, Peggy, for saying to people, you know, tax laws change, venues change, political climate changes, economy changes. What a great metaphor for change, and especially for unfairness, because that was totally unfair to Sydney. But the bottom line is, it worked. One of my favorite stories, you know, I wish I could speak in front of a group. I haven't done that about a year and a half. I do these things almost every day, but I just dying to speak in front of a group. I was in Vancouver, British Columbia, speaking to the $1 Million Round Table. And I had this really fun thing called touching below the elbow. We've discovered that when you touch somebody below the elbow for less than 3 seconds, memory goes up by 83% for whatever you do say as you touch people on the arm. This guy walked out to me the day after I was signing books up in Vancouver at the convention center. And he said, Kerry, you know that little touching thing, that really works. Well, how do you know that? He said, well, I was at Cardrina's restaurant right across from the convention center. There's a server walking around, trail like a tequila shooter. I don't know what she was doing, but she was just kind of aimlessly wandering. He walked up and said, you having some problems tonight? Yeah, nobody likes tequila. I think it's a bad economy. He said, I just heard the speaker. Why don't you walk up to that guy over there, touch him in the arm, ask if he wants to buy a tequila shooter. She said, well, you know, I'm not going to walk up to somebody, touch him on the arm. Nothing else is working. Why don't you give it a shot? She got her tray, walked up to this guy and said, tapped on the arm and said, would you like to buy tequila for yourself or a tray for the whole table? She had the whole tray sold in 10 minutes, walked out of this beautiful bayfront window, and she just kind of stared out to the Vancouver Bay. The guy that heard me speak walked up and said, did it work? Yes, really well. Why don't you get another tray? She said, I don't want to do it anymore. It worked too well. I think it's unethical. So the great thing about this is participation works, and we got to get people to participate in the virtual sales too. Okay, so let's move on to some of the biggest sales mistakes that people ever make on the virtual sale. Number one is inexcusable. The sound is just really bad. You know, the worst part is we have a meeting like this, and we're all kind of, we've got homemade stuff here, and I've got a headset, and Spencer has that beautiful brick thing going on. He's probably got a great sound system. And the background for Tina Marie is wonderful. But compared to broadcast quality, we're watching Fox, CBS, NBC. It makes the guests look like they're amateurs by comparison. We've got to make the sound brilliant. My recommendation is, if it is an important meeting, a webinar, you know, you can kind of do what you want to do. But an important meeting, let's use wired sound. Not earphones, not iPods. Let's actually wire the microphone directly into the computer, because we don't want dropout. Number two, there's so many distractions from lighting. It's really difficult. The lighting, I do a lot of videos, and I've done a lot of shoots being so close to LA. And almost every time I do a shoot, they spend more time on lighting than anything else. And most producers will say lighting is the most important thing that we do. Number three is the backgrounds are just so distracting. And it's so hard to avoid this. I'm looking at all the people right now, and the only person that I'm probably not distracted by is Spencer. He's got this cool brick thing going back, but everybody else, I'm checking out their background, their chair. I'm looking at the wine glasses. I wonder what kind of wine Rachel drinks. I mean, I love that little New Zealand thing behind her. It looks so cool. And oh, by the way, what'd you say again? And the pixelation thing is really important. The signal has to be Ethernet wired. No wireless. Let's not use wireless. Let's use Ethernet wired. I live in this beautiful place. 1 month a quarter. I can't get in there, by the way. I haven't been able to go to my house in Portugal in the last 18 months. It's the very bottom of Portugal. It's a little place called Carvoeiro. It's a 45-minute boat ride from Morocco. That's my terrace. I bought a 40-meter cord. I mean, the thing looks like it could go in the middle of town. And I have to hook it up to my computer because I never want to get dropout, because the internet signal is so unstable. I've got to have at least something that I can use not to lose phone calls. Framing. Let's talk about this for a couple seconds. Oh my gosh. Let me grab one more person. Let's take somebody random one more time, Rachel. framing?
All right, random. Lisa Tomaselli.
Lisa Tomaselli, are you with us?
Hi there. Thanks,
Hi,
Rachel.
Lisa. What's your pet peeve about framing? What do you dislike most about framing? How the screen goes around people's heads, and how big the screen is, and did they look up?
I
Did they look
think
down?
I've done it myself, but when you're it's looking at you here, it's very low. It's coming up to the bottom, maybe that.
So that's your pet peeve. It's too much of the bottom.
It's just, I mean, just the angle of it.
Yeah, got it. Here are 6 frame mistakes that almost everybody makes, and I want you to not to be one of these people. Number 1 is what I call ceiling envy, and I'm going to try to demonstrate this for you too. So ceiling envy is a lot of lighting up there. It's when you see a frame like this. So maybe you can see their eyes, maybe you can see their nose, but boy, that fan looks awfully good. I wonder if that guy ever turns on his fan. Holy cow, that fan is kind of funny. Oh, I like this one too. It's called the side shifter. Kind of hard to demonstrate this. I've got a client I talk to on Wednesday mornings for a half an hour. This guy's always looking over here. I'll say to him something. I'll say, yeah, well, I think it's got 2 screens. It's so distracting because I can't get rapport. I can't get trust. Everything gets lost. I can hear what he says, but that's kind of the problem. And how about this one? Mr. Potato Head. I love this one. When people are kind of like this. Yeah, gotcha. I understand. Equally distracting. Let's do a couple more. Let's do the astronomer. Oh, I like this one. This is a frame. This is one of the most fun things I wrote about in my book. So I just studied this stuff about 2 or 3 months ago. I have to really get low on this one. The astronomers, when people are kind of like this, they're sort of looking up at you. Really difficult to focus on. The anonymous is hard too, because Mr. or Ms. Anonymous basically has everything backlit. Everything's really bright behind them. There's nothing in front of them. And I had a client say to me a couple of months ago, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could get a ring light that's directly in front so they could actually shine on people's walls, the other light around. So, and again, lighting is really important. And this is a fun one too. Ever seen this one, Rachel? I call this thunder fingers. Where you see their fingers, they're typing away. That's kind of interesting. Okay, Rachel, how much time do we have left?
18 minutes.
We'll be done before that.
Okay.
What are my fun things to talk about? The most fun. And we're going to have a couple of minutes for questions too, I think, Rachel, right?
Great. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. How do you spot a lie? Tina Marie, how do you spot a lie? Do you know when people are lying to you?
It depends on the person, because sometimes I know them so well, I know when they're lying to me.
Spencer, how do you
And
know
then
when people...
sometimes it could be the tone in someone's voice where you just like, you're not a trustworthy person.
Oh, the tone. I like that. I don't like your tone, young man, my mom used to say to me. I don't like your tone, young man. That's pretty ominous. Spencer, how do you know when people are lying to you?
I know it's got something to do with the eyes, but I couldn't tell you what, Kerry. I don't know where to begin.
How do you know that?
You know what? We had a really great entertainer on one of our events a couple of months ago, Kevin Viner, and he's a mentalist amongst a magician and other things. And I just know from hearing him speak about that sort of thing, you know, how to read and that sort of, you know, all of the things that go into what he does. And I've heard him kind of talk offline about it a little bit. And so I know it has eyes involved somewhere. I just couldn't tell you what it is.
Well, I wrote a book called Sales Magic, and it was on the New York Times list about 25 years ago. But I talked about a very interesting concept called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Neuro-Linguistic Programming basically says that we can determine someone's buying style by the way they move their eyes and the words they use. The FBI is very good at this kind of stuff, by the way. I spoke directly after an FBI agent a lot of years ago. And I said, so can you really determine what people are telling the truth, lying to you? She said, yeah, we're pretty good at it. I said, how do you do that? Do you do a lie detector test? Do you like to have this one of cardio things? Do you put your fingers on it? You know, obviously stupid 20 years ago. She said, no, we can't spend $500 taking people down to a local police station. We got to find out right there where they're telling us the truth. Otherwise, it derails the investigation. I said, no kidding. And she had this very interesting way of determining that. But the bottom line is people think in 3 modes. Number one, by the pictures they make inside their heads. Number two, by the way, they use words like, I see what you mean, it's clear so far, it looks good, I could picture that. Number two, people understand what you say about how they hear you say things. We call these people auditories. People understand your ideas based on how they hear it, how they, they'll actually say that to you too. I hear what you're saying, rings a bell. My favorite one, that resonates. And number three, gut-based kinesthetic people who understand what you say by how they feel when they're around you. You know, my house is was listed in October. We took it off the market during Christmas. We're going to put it back on probably next week. It's amazing when people walk through the house what you hear. Some people say, "Oh, I love this view. It's just gorgeous." Other people will say, "It's so quiet up here. I didn't know it's going to be this quiet up here. I don't hear. It's like you could hear a pin drop." And people walk through the house and say, "Oh, sweetheart, this feels like home. It just feels right. It feels like," well, if you take all that stuff together, a little background, we can also spot a lie by how they move their eyes too. When visuals look up to the right, they're constructing, creating pictures in the future. When they look up to the left, they're recalling things they've seen before. Now, with auditories, when people look side to the right, they're constructing sounds. When they look side left, they're recalling things they've heard before. Now, here's the fun part. When you're 12 years old, like I was, we're learning basic algebra, maybe some advanced math, and the teacher would ask you a question, what's 222 plus 365? Guess what you do every single time you make a picture? So you look up and you try to look at the ceiling to add the numbers up. And the teacher would always say, the answer's not on the ceiling, but it was. The answer was on the ceiling. Okay, let's put this stuff together. If I say to you, how was that last event? And you look up to the right, that's a fabrication. I guess you something from the past, but yet you would answer me in the future. If I say to you, tell me a little bit more about what you did for Spencer. And if I look right, that's a fabrication. If I look left, I'm recalling a picture. Now, by the way, some of the stuff is not deceitful. When I'm in Portugal, people always ask me, so where are you from in America? Well, I'm from LA. And I look up right. I'm not from LA. I live in Orange County. They don't know where Orange County is. They don't know where Texas is. So I'm helping them. I'm LA. They know LA maybe. Maybe they know California. Say California. It's not a fabricate. I'm just trying to help them out. So guess what we do? We don't say to somebody, I can tell you're fabricating that. That's not the truth. Tell me the truth. But what we can do is think of the power it gives you when you're on a virtual call and you can see people, see their eyes, and we can say, was it LA or is it someplace close to LA? Is it, that meeting again? Tell me more about meeting, because that's what the FBI does. When they see a fabrication, they just drill down because people can't replicate fabrications. They go back to the truth almost exclusively. This guy is so much fun. I forgot his name now, but about 8 or 9 years ago, he flew down from Dallas down to San Antonio. This kid, it looks like he's 18 to me. He he's a policeman up in Dallas. He has more confessions among all the interrogators in Dallas police history. He came down to San Antonio because he said to me, all I do, Kerry, as I look at people's eyes when they tell the story, and I correct them because people naturally want to tell the truth. And when I see someone fabricating, I say, did that really happen that way? I don't think, it doesn't sound like it happened that way. Can you tell me? That's why people always confess. And all he does is look at people's eyes. Okay. We are done with this, Rachel. Let's look over to a couple of questions. I think we have maybe a couple of minutes.
Yeah, let's do questions for a couple minutes. It's a great idea. So I would say if anybody has a question for Dr. Johnson, you can put it in the chat or just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask.
And while they're doing that, let me just recap some of the stuff we talked about. We talked about the 3-month phone call. We talked about how to reconnect with prospect using the 3-month phone call. We talked about why people want to be contacted 3 months. We talked about the 5-step bridge. We also talked about the focal screen, which is why 3 is so darn important. We talked about things like the 6 mistakes people make in the virtual sale, why virtual is going to be with us forever, but we're going to generally go in face-to-face little by little. We talked about herd immunity. We also talked about framing. We talked about sound. And the last, we talked about how to spot a lie.
Okay, we have actually a question that's come to me from Peggy.
Thank you, Doctor. This has really been a pleasure. And I think with the vaccine, a lot of us in our industries are starting to have some hope that our world, with whatever it's going to look like, is going to start coming back. I'm actually in sales. I work for a speakers bureau and an entertainment company. So I so appreciate the gift that you gave us today.
Oh,
you know, when all of this happened in
thanks.
March, I think one of the things, especially people in sales, we talked to each other about was, you know, it's tone deaf to talk about business. So one of the beautiful things I think that's come from COVID, if you took advantage of it, was to have really great conversation with clients. And again, along the lines of, you know, I've known you for 25 years. I didn't know you had grandchildren. I didn't know what your retirement plans were. So that's been wonderful. But I think my question is maybe some validation from you. I think it's time, especially again with the vaccine, for us to be able to start talking about live events again and to ask the questions for work. Am I right in assuming that?
Well, you know, I've been able to make my business work right now by writing and also by coaching. But the bottom line is the thing I like to do most is speaking. And I've been prohibited, obviously, from speaking. And I never forgot that Woody Allen, who I don't like all that much, once said that success is 1% genius, 99% just showing up. I think during this period, people get paralyzed. I think they don't make phone calls. I think they've been said no to so many times. We're going to see what happens in 2021. Let's see if Biden gets elected, that they just do nothing. And that's the worst thing you could do, is be paralyzed. The best thing we could do, and I fight with this, but hopefully I'm pretty successful, is I really do call my clients every 3 months and my prospects every 3 months. And it's amazing how much business I'm getting for 2022 right now at the end of 2021. Because
I know this is
can't be
I've
paralyzed.
always called it polite tenacity. You know,
Yeah.
because you never know when you're going to call. And I'm, you know, I'm of the generation where we used the phone. That's how we sold. Was the conversation. So this has been kind of, and I don't mean to make light of what we've all been through. In some ways, this has been very joyful for me, because the face-to-face stuff with Zoom and the different platforms and just the phone, I have a better connection with clients truly that I've had for 20 years. But I think hearing you talk about what you talked about today, I'm kind of intuitively ready to start asking the business questions and to ask for the referrals and to ask for the sale in the way that I ask for sales. So Thank you again for today.
Thanks, Peggy.
And actually, a follow-up to that, a good segue, is Sydney had a question. Do you see negative effects if you follow up more often than 3 months?
I think people will let you know that my de facto is 3 months. And if people don't respond on the telephone in 2 months, I'll probably just go back to 3 months. If they don't respond to 3 months, I'll go back to 4 months. Hey, let's grab one more person by random. This is a lot of fun. I like doing this.
Okay, by random, we have Lori R.
Hey, Lori R.
Hello, sorry, I had to unmute myself.
No problem. Hey, Lori, what do you do when people don't call back?
What do I do when they don't call back?
Yeah, how do you handle that? When they ghost you. Did I say that right? I'm an old guy, so I got to get the terminology right.
Usually I will call them back again. I'll give them a couple days, and if they don't call back, I'll call them back again and follow up with an email.
Oh, very good. What if they don't call back then?
I continue to call them on a semi-periodic schedule.
Oh my gosh, you're a glutton for punishment.
Yes.
But
I mean, what, like eight touches to finally get someone on the phone sometimes?
Would you like to get a 65% response rate and limit it to 3 calls? Would that be helpful?
Absolutely.
Did y'all hear that trial close, by the way? Rachel, hear the trial close right there? Trial close, trial close, trial close. Number one, when you call and get a voicemail, leave a message with their 3 needs. Hey, Rachel, this is Kerry Johnson. Just want to check in. You had 3 things that are very important to you. Number 1 is coming in at $200,000. Number 2 is getting internal speakers. And number 3 is having 3 speakers external. Just want to work on that with you. You know, gang, the reason we do that is because people forget 70% of what you say in one day. They forget 90% within 3 days. I have to keep reminding people what the 3 needs are. And I already gave you the stats on why it's 3. Number 2, wait 2 days, just like you said a couple of seconds ago, and do the same message, but remind them of the voicemail from the first call. Hey, Rachel, I just wanted to give you a phone call. By the way, I want to talk to you about the 3 things, 1, 2, 3. By the way, Rachel, I called you on Monday. I hope you got that message, Rachel. Give me a phone call back. I'm at 714, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the magic sauce. Number 3 is the important one. I love to be very direct, but not obnoxious. On that 3rd phone call 2 days later, I'm going to say, hey, Rachel, I wanted to give you a chat with you about the 3 needs, 1, 2, 3. By the way, I called you on Monday, called you on Wednesday. This is a very important way to say this. If these 3 things, 1, 2, 3, are no longer important to you, please let me know. And follow that with an email. Don't expect people to remember anything that happened in the past, and always focus them on the 3 needs. I promise you that 65% of the people will at least say to you, I can't do this right now. Give me a call next Tuesday. But you will get a response. Does that help?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Rachel, one more?
Rachel, I have a follow-up question and in comment of it as somebody who gets called on by sales folks. And I did some interviews with students earlier today, and it's interesting the different demographics and ages. And 2 of the students mentioned, because I'm talking about marketing, following up via text. So I think also knowing who you're selling to, because I know if there's a bunch of voicemails, I may not listen to them because I get so much spam called. But if I got a personal text that says, hey, Erin, it's Lori. I haven't talked to you in a while. Do you have time to chat? Like sometimes that's like, okay, I didn't recognize Lori's number. But anyway, I think some of the younger generation is operating that way. So depending on who you're selling to.
I totally agree with you. So I think marketing is doing everything all the time. I think you leave a voicemail, you leave a text and an email. I think you text somebody that responded, you do a voicemail, you do an email. I think all the Gen Xers and the Gen Yers have done is just expand marketing to everything all the time right now. So I totally agree with you. I agree. Okay.
Okay.
Time for maybe one more. That's it.
Yeah, so we have one more in the chat is Aaron wants to know who will win the Australian Open.
Aaron, did you know that Federer is not going to play because of back problems? Did you know that, Aaron? And Djokovic, by the way, you know, he got bounced out of the U.S. Open because he actually inadvertently hit a ball to a line judge when she wasn't looking, and he actually got defaulted on that. If I was going to pick to win the Australian Open, it's got to be Djokovic. You can't discount the Joker. His game is just too big. Nadal is older. Zverev is big, tall, strapping young guy, but you know the Joker is probably going to win it. As soon as I get paid $5 by who was that? Sydney? She pays my $5. I'll make that bet. Were you there? Okay, let me wrap this up, gang.
I don't recall that.
Since we're talking about sports, let's work on Spencer. Spencer, you a golfer? Are you a golfer?
I am, yes.
Good. Who was the top money winner in 1999 on the PGA Tour?
Not me. That's all I could tell you.
Yeah, me either. Take a guess. Who do you think it was?
99. I don't know. Was that Tiger Woods? Maybe.
Yeah, you got that right. 6.6 billion worth of good guess. Stroke production per 18 holes is 70.14. Freddie, he's got the best swing in golf back in those days a lot of years ago, 70.42. Look at the difference of strokes for $6 million. Basically, 0.1 something strokes per 18 holes of golf. Spencer, one more question for you. 2 years ago, 2018, top money winner. Any guesses on this?
No. No clue.
It's hard. Justin is a popular guy, but you never would have thought that he would have won $18 million. Siwoo Kim, I never even heard of until I was doing some of this research, 2.3 million. Look at the stroke production difference per 18 holes. It's $16 million delta. Gang, it's 0.2 strokes. 0.2 strokes that year was 16 million bucks. That 0.2 strokes in our business is not about prices. I already told you that you can increase your prices by 17%. It's not about your competence, because I already mentioned to you that trust is why people do business with you. It's all about that 0.2 stroke difference. It's how you communicate, how you listen, how you recap, trial, close, and make people feel understood. If you'd like to find out, if you'd like to get a free copy of this book called Mastering the Virtual Sale, I'd love to give you a free copy. All you do is call us and talk to me for 10 minutes. You can email them if you want to. I just want a 10-minute phone call, find out more about your business.